You? Are you going someplace cool?
Me, no. I just I haven't planned yet. I have a trip to London for this, we're gonna host PlatformCon in London, like in
Mhm.
June. And then I think I'm gonna go to Ukraine, to visit my family. And then, yeah, I don't know. I guess I have like so much to explore here,
Yeah,
in Barcelona, around Spain. So really
nice,
wanna explore here.
nice, nice.
Yep. Okay. So let me start. And let's start the webinar. Cool. And we are live. Welcome to this platform engineering webinar session. Very happy to see everyone today. We have Team Spain. Today, I'm Maria, will be moderating today's session. You guys probably know me already. I'm joining in from Barcelona, and we have two amazing speakers, Pablo and Marco and Marisa, sorry, from ThoughtWorks. And we're going to talk today about platforms, as always, but platforms as a safety net. Guys, you also can drop in the chat the city you're joining us from. It's very cool to see that people join us from all around the world, and maybe sometimes, even if it is from the same city, we can go and drink coffee or beer after this webinar. So it's very, very cool to see. So don't be shy and put in the chat the city you're joining us from. Before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. So this webinar will be recorded, and we'll send over recording and slides to everyone who registered. So no need to make notes, but you can think through questions. You can ask questions in the Q&A section. That's the best way, so that we stack them one after another and go over it in the end of the session. If you have any other questions, you can always go to Platform Engineering Slack that I'm going to drop in the link in a second. And you can ask Marisa and Marco there anything you want in DMs or in the channel. With that, thank you so much for dropping in the cities you're joining us from. I see there are Deepak from Berlin, from Brazil, from Denver, from US, and here we still have from Nigeria. Very, very cool. With that, over to you guys. Thank you so much for hosting this webinar with us today. And I'll go and check that Platform Engineering Slack for those who haven't registered yet.
Thanks, thanks, Maria, for a great introduction. So today we are going to talk about platform as a safety net, and with safety net, we intend some guardrails that can help you deliver values more effectively. Before we start, a little bit about ourselves. My name is Marco. I'm Italian born and I'm based in southern Spain. I've been working in ThoughtWorks for about 3 years, and I've been specializing in platform engineering. During my free time, I like to advocate for animal rights and spend time understanding more about technology. Marisa?
I'm Marisa Martin Serrano. I'm joining from Madrid, Spain. I'm a lead technical product manager. I work mostly with platform and platform teams. I've been working most of my life abroad and always very much linked to platform and platform products. In my spare time, I love to, go for long walks with, my two old puppies, also to exercise and of course learn about technology and attend technology events. Thank you, Marco.
Thanks, Marisa. So starting with the agenda, today we're going to provide some context, especially around what we mean by platform. Then we're going to discuss the inspiration or the source of the inspiration for this talk, the many feedback and the comments that led us here. Then we're going to discuss how safety nets can protect us from rational and irrational dangers and fears, delving into what those dangers, fears, and concerns are. Then we'll move on to the discussion on how modern well-thought platforms can address and overcome these dangerous fears and concerns. And finally, if you're still not yet convinced, we will discuss with sound arguments the adoption and implementation of the platforms as using a safety net approach. So starting with the definition of platforms. In this talk with platforms, we will mean internal engineering platforms. How are they unique and different from other platforms? Well, first and foremost, they are internal, meaning that they are not exposed to external users, especially external to your organizations. Then they are also built as composable units. So they are built on top of existing COTS, commercial off-the-shelf products, such as cloud products, CI/CD tools, or platform tools like, for instance, Kubernetes. So why do we compose them? We compose them because we want them to be more advanced and provide more values than the individual components they are made out of. And by doing so, they can provide a compelling end-to-end experience and help us abstract the underlying complexity from the platform users. Of course, this introduces an entry barrier, meaning that it will not be as easy as downloading and running an app or running a SaaS. It will require time to onboard, to share documentation, and to get the internal teams up to speed when they start using your platform. Then an intense period of time of adjustment will be required for the teams to understand how they use, but also to adapt their internal ways of working to factor in the users of these platforms. So these platforms are not required to be mandatory. Their usage is not necessarily mandatory, but they should become the one and only sensible solutions for your development teams to use, meaning that there can always be a workaround for development teams to not use your platforms, but that should be the exception and not the rule, and that should be much, much harder for your development teams to go that way rather than using the components you provide. And then an aspect that needs to be factored in is the ROI. So the platform teams need to account for the investment in both money and times that the organization is making to enable you to build the platform teams and the development teams to use it successfully. So where did we get this inspiration from? Marisa and I has worked together in several teams across different technology stacks and across different domains. And what we notice is that there's a recurring pattern where an organization tries to build abstractions with the idea of simplifying the day-to-day work of the development teams. But building those abstractions right is an extremely complicated process. That's because you need to factor in very different needs and expectations from your development teams that might work on different technology tech stacks and might be also have a different level of technological maturity. So you end up with abstraction that are leaking underlying concepts. So the idea here is rather than trying to build the perfect abstraction, why not focusing on building effective guardrails? So you enable your teams to work the way they want, but you provide some limits and some default configuration on what's expected from them. then we get a lot of feedback from platform users, essentially saying that they don't have the feature they need by the time they need it. Their feedback is not listened to. There are internal resistance in changing their ways of working, in adapting to the platform ways of working, and at times just even losing their uniqueness that they believe is making them particularly effective or particularly good at what they are doing. We also hear pushback from the management teams, saying that a platform team isn't something they are very keen on or something that will even work for them. And of course, there's an upfront investment in both time and money that is required. And if the management doesn't see a value in it, that could be reducing costs, improving development effectiveness, they will most likely shy away from a platform. Then any sort of initiative that is new, such as moving to the cloud or having FinOps, GreenOps, can deter non-technical users because they don't understand what they are moving on to. And even after they agreed on embarking on a migration journey, they can still fail to see the benefits. So the company that we work with have had many different fears and dangers. So when we consider fears, we need to start from a viewpoint that all those fears are valid and they come from a point of sincerity. So they can be irrational, but they can lead to real dangers. When those dangers are present, they can be measured and they can end up happening. We've probably heard about failures that happened during project implementations, projects that went over budget, that were many months and years delayed. And this is just a realization of those fears. The worst kind of fear is the fear of the unknown. And this is usually rooted in not having the necessary knowledge and skills. Now, if you think about platform teams or just building a platform, not knowing how a platform should look like or what the benefits are can be a significant pushback in an organization embarking on the journey to get to a platform team, even though the benefit they might be collecting from there are quite high. Next to you, Marisa.
Thank you. So if we consider that the platform are built on the top of something that is existing, that is widely adopted, that is supported by a third party, let's say any cloud product, or you have the full cloud offering or any tool offering, what is the value that this internal platform can add compared to the raw product? So we truly believe that this approach of having the platform be a true safety net can be like a strong contestant in this platform value proposition. So platform can be that safety net that is the way for platform users to modern cloud technologies and modern ways of working, while they ensure at the same time that the successful arrival to an ever-changing finish line. And this is also something relevant that we embark in this long-term project to migrate to cloud also, but we don't understand that after that we will still have to invest and we will still be, in that process of, transforming to better adapt and to make the most of those, cloud technology and these, modern products. On the other hand, a platform can really help stakeholders of all kinds, so not only our potential users, but also like the finance department or management or sponsors that are investing on us to get to these modern technologies via platform to overcome the irrational fear, and they can actually protect us not only from irrational fears but also from very acute dangers, because there can be a security challenge, there can be financial challenges, there can be transformational challenge when we embark on this journey. Next slide, please. So how can a platform, or how can we make that our internal platform is the way in, not only for our users, but also for our stakeholders? We can do so by consultancy. So consultancy is really about understanding the requirement, the product that you are about to onboard to your platform, and the team or teams that are behind it. So how they work, what are their pain points, how does what are the expectations they have towards our platform, how does the roadmap looks like, and how we are going to embed in it this platform onboarding and this migration to new technologies, and also if they have experience in this or in previous platform. It's also about being incredibly intentional, designing this onboarding experience. So the same way that for any other product, we design like a very easy, a very friendly onboarding experience. Let's imagine that you start using, I don't know, any like social media application or any web shop. This starting to be a user is like a very well designed, is typically like a very intentional process that has behind user experience design. A good way to do this in the case of internal platform is to tailor by the type of user, and a segmentation that has typically worked very well, at least for us in the past, is to segment a user by their current technology stack, and also by the level of maturity. So with the very same stack that could be Angular, Java, or so, you also have to factor in the maturity that these users have, and if they have any experience on these modern technologies that are behind our platform product. You should also invest on learning and experimentation. So here you cannot leave everything up to the users in the spare time to learn about the platform and anything that is behind this. So you have to organize learning, and you have to encourage certification. So if you are going to any cloud provider, or if you are going to use any of the commercial platform, or like a developer portal, like a backstage or so, you have to understand that training might be required, and even certification, and this can also be a way to even boost your employee or your developer engagement. You also have to support any way you can provide that you can resource or resort to partners and vendors. They can help you to do this initial setup. They can help you to organize these initial experiences, this initial training or so. Then you can also organize like more in petit comité, like lunch and learn, any like sharing activities for current users or your platform, to share with potential user of the platform. There are also a lot on creating gamified learning paths that are tailored or that are relevant to what our potential user will later experience once onboarded into the platform. Other ways that you can ease this way in, that you can overcome this barrier for adoptions, are creating this community and building on working on these like voluntary roles of platform advocates. So people within your user community that knows very well the platform and also advocates for it. You can also share different user stories, because this will help your potential user to overcome their fears, and it will seem that it's easier. They will also realize the benefit of your potential of your platform. You also have to work on golden path and recipes. So whatever you know that is commonly used, provide golden path for it. Provide quick recipes that can be just the starting point for your users that are just onboarding to the platform, and this will make them, have a starting point that is sound, that is tested, that we know that is going to work, and from that on, they can, fine tune it to the needs that they might have. Next slide, please. So how can we, guide to the successful arrival? So how can we know that we are already there? How can a product team that is or has onboarded to our platform know that they have completed the onboarding, that they are full users of the platform? So this is about setting beforehand what are the objectives and targets. So what do they want to achieve by using our platform, or what do they want to achieve by maybe migrating to the cloud? So understanding that if they start using our platform, they can be more efficient, they can be more reliable, they can reduce costs. Also, so at the very beginning of the journey, or even before starting this journey, we set the objective, and throughout the way, we meet whether we are reaching those targets. And this is an exercise that is never completed. So this is an exercise that we will typically have to review every 6 months, once a year or so, with our users. We also have to be very careful to manage our sponsor and stakeholder relationship. So they are the ones that have invested in the platform. They're the one sponsoring this initiative within our organization. So we have to show that we are delivering results, how we are progressing with the onboarding, how we are progressing achieving these targets. We also need to manage the user life cycle. So the same way that maybe you register to a website, and then if you didn't complete the onboarding process, you get these reminders and all this. So we have to understand where are our platform users in the journey. We might have some users that started to experiment with the platform, but then at some point they stop, or they are still stuck in the very same point for like a month or so. So we have to visualize, we have to monitor, and we have to act on that. We also need to understand, what is the pattern of usage, and how are they divided or distributed based on that user segmentation. So technology maturity is a good segmentation for that. We also have to measure what is the network effect. If it is working well for us, so our users are getting more users, or on the other hand, our users are discouraging potential users to get into our platform. We also have to manage that satisfaction. So how do they find the onboarding experience? How do they find their everyday, once onboarded in the platform, their business as usual? How often do they engage in the community, or do they use our platform? Other aspect that we still need to take care as well is the marketing. So how do we market our platform? Like, how do we say, especially to those that can be potential users, with all the feedback that we gain from these onboarding experiences, or from these initial journeys in our platform? We have to recalibrate not only our technology, not only our platform product, but also like the onboarding experiences, how we manage the support, how we manage the relationship with our vendors and partners. And finally, or last but not least, we have to embed in our platform these good practices. So DevOps, SecOps, FinOps, GreenOps can also be implemented as default in our templates, in our pipelines also, so that we model our platform product according to these best practices. Next slide, please. So how can we overcome these irrational fears and this like maybe unknown or hidden motivation? So we have to do a little research in our organization, and not only in our organization, but also with our potential users. So what have been the past experience? So maybe a few years ago, there was an effort or an initiative to migrate everything to the cloud. How did it go? How were what were the challenges? Why did it fail, or why it was successful, and so on? We also have to understand by the different user groups what are the current pain points and what are the limitations. So for instance, if we have a product team, potential user group that has a very tight and very urgent roadmap, we might, defer them to the end when we have like a more curated onboarding experience. We also have to do the sensible benchmarking. So if we remember, one of the quotes was like, this won't work for us, this won't work for our organization. So here we have to understand how, our competitors, how our partners, how maybe different part of organization approach this journey to platform, to modern cloud technologies, to modern CI/CD. And do it sensibly. So, finding good examples in our given industry, or, with companies the same size, the same culture, and so on, that ours. So it cannot be, I thought that was like a very successful getting into cloud, but we have to find this sensible example. We have to do this sensible benchmarking. Something that we want to do and we need to do, but maybe it's not an easy thing to do, is to identify and to manage the detractors. So for that, personally, as a technical product manager, I try to participate, sorry, allergy. I try to participate in all the user forums, in the organization I work for. So I try to read the Slack, I try to understand what is being said about the platform, and I try to address those comments, those concerns, those motivation. And also we have to be like very intentional and very proactive, not only about listening and managing detractors also, but also about showcasing our success story, about advertising our platform, and also about collecting feedback in these forums and in meetings and everywhere. Next slide, please. So how can a platform protect us like from actual danger? So how can they protect our organization? So this is really about, understanding that modern cloud technology, modern platform, modern CI/CD do have, challenges, and there are threats out there. And some of them might come from the fact that we might not have a previous experience, we might not have the required knowledge, we might not have the required support, maybe, from our cloud providers or partners. So there are dangers out there. We have to be, very, mature and very understanding to proactively, identify them and address them. So how can we overcome some of them? We can implement these good practices, what we mentioned before about, DevOps, DevSecOps, FinOps, GreenOps, as out-of-the-box capabilities. So by default, this is a capability that is built in the platform. So the same way that I can deploy my workload from my local to production, this is an out-of-the-box capability of my platform. It should be the very same way that at any given moment of time, I can understand, what are the security or what are the threats regarding the security of my digital product, or at any point of time, I can understand with the right level of granularity and detail what is the cost of running my product in the platform, and maybe, in the underlying cloud technologies. We also need to implement these default behaviors, recipes, and golden path. So for instance, and this is an actual example from the past based on a true story, if by default our application are internal, the default behavior for a load balancer should be to be internal. If we protect our public endpoints with a web firewall, we need, by default that whenever we deploy a new endpoint or whenever we deploy even like an external load balancer, this goes like behind this WAF. We also, and this is something that I haven't seen in many companies, but in those that I have seen, they are quite successful, not only in adoption, but also in using or making the most of their platform, is to implement shared services. So if we take observability, there are great tools there are great tools like Datadog or like New Relic and many others. So this will be not only about purchasing the product and then like giving it away or giving it or handing it over to the different product team. This will be about building a right service about it. So this will mean that is integrated with your CI/CD pipelines. You provide default libraries or default services to integrate with it, to manage. You implement a default dashboard template or so. So from the raw product that this will is just the product, you build the full platform experience. You integrate it, you curate it so that your platform user can make the most of it. And the same thing that goes for observability goes as well for security, identity and access management, and many others. So for this is a very good practice to build these shared services that maybe are maintained by your entire, developer community, by a dedicated team, but they are part and they live in the platform. Other things that you can do to protect from these dangers, so provide a real-time dashboard for security, for governance, for compliance, so that at any point, any product owner, any product team can understand, what are the threats out there, prioritize and can act on them and see that there is progress. You can also provide this like expert forum where if you have a concern about how to solve a given threat in Java, let's say, there are experts there ready to answer your question. So next slide, please. If you are not still convinced, what we have collected here has been always like from the point of view of having the platform as a safety net. So how can we build a platform on the top of something that is existing, that is ready to be consumed, and that adds value. So here the focus has been about providing that safety net. So a safety net that ensures you that that has less resistance or less entry barrier than the raw product itself, or like the full cloud offering, or any other modern technology that is out there. So lower entry barrier that also has the means to accompany or like to really hold hands with our user, ensuring that they reach good result, they reach the finish line, and how we can address these, irrational fears and actual dangers and threats by providing default behaviors, by, building a community, by listening to them and addressing them. This is it from me. I don't know if Marco, you would like to add something else?
No, just thanks everybody for joining in. We are ready to take any question if there are any.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys, for building this amazing presentation and sharing your insights. Just while you guys are typing in your questions, just a quick reminder, we're going to send over webinar recording to everyone who registered and slides. So you can share it with your colleagues, or if you want to reward specific pieces, you will have that. Quick question from my side. So I assume you see a lot of different platform teams, starting the platform engineering initiative. What's the best way to start and like scale and build the platform you talked about?
Do you want to go first, Marisa?
Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, to me, it's always about understanding what is the current state and how we got there. So this, collecting any previous experience, this doing a little benchmarking and also doing like some, technical analysis of, what are the different products, what is the technology stack, as understanding, the way the different teams work, what are the pain points also. So understanding, what is the current state and matching that to what is out there. So, any product that is out there or any platform or any capability that we might need, and then getting the context of, our organization goal. So I typically always take into account these three legs. So how it is now and what, I mean, if they have been like any previous experience, what is out there technology wise, and then and then the benchmarking part of getting to know, how organizations similar to mine or products similar to mine fail or succeed in this journey. So these three little legs.
I would also add to make you really sure what the expectation is from the platform. So if the expectation is reducing cost or improving usability of components, can it be measured? What's the time horizon for it to happen? And then also assess how different the teams working in the organizations are. So if they all use a common tech stack, they all use the same technologies, practices, and so on, it's much easier for a platform team to be effective. But the more the teams work in a different way, the harder it will be for a platform team to unify those experiences, technology stacks, and practices.
Very cool. And what would you say are the most common pain points that clients come to you to solve when they're building a platform?
I can go. So, I mean, we work in a consultancy. So, typically, I mean, I wouldn't say that we are the first to call. So, typically, when clients come to us, is because they have already tried and somewhat they have not achieved what they had intended. So maybe, they are not getting just as many users as they thought they will have in the new platform, or maybe they went to a cloud migration. It was just, lift and shift. So they are having, I mean, they are not realizing the value. Is costing them a lot. Is an operating model that is just not sustainable in time. So it's typically about they had an intention and they had some goal, they didn't achieve it, and this is because they come to us. Many of the things are technical, like it was just a lift and shift. So maybe, the application or the products are not with the right architecture to live in the cloud or make the most of the cloud. Or also it could be that because we think of it from the technical point of view, or because they thought of it only from the technical point of view, they did not address other aspects like training people, getting the certification, changing the ways of working. So maybe, switching to more agile, more DevOps like ways of working. So this, yeah, to me, it's like they went there and they did not achieve what they expected. Is somewhat not sustainable technically wise, is because it was many times lift and shift, and then from the culture transformation part that was because they didn't have the right training, they did not change the ways of working to adapt to the DevOps culture, or to how it is like to live in this modern world.
Anything from your side, Marco?
I completely agree with Marisa. We work with customer with very different level of maturities, both in terms of technology, cloud, and platform experience. So mileage will vary. The requests that come in are quite different from an assessment. If it would make sense to have a platform team, what would be the benefits of having one? the areas in which you focus, and then perhaps at times help starting a platform team with the best practices in mind, look at finding the right people to be part in it, and then getting it kickstarted.
Makes sense. Very cool. I see someone is asking in the chat, what is it to do if they're just starting platform engineering? Join the platform engineering Slack. That's where you get started. But I see Marisa typing in the answer already. If you want to answer, what would you recommend if you are new to this term, I guess, like building a platform, you want to become a platform engineer? What would you guys, I don't know, probably have some experience with that as well, training people?
I think there's a big difference based on the question. If person wants to focus on the technical side, so becoming an infrastructure specialist, or if you want to focus on technical project management. So it's a little bit the difference between what Marisa and I do. So for being a technical product manager, technical product owner, you don't need to know a specific skill or a specific technical skill. If you want to become an infrastructure consultant, there are many things you can look at. And I think, oh, Marisa didn't say Kubernetes. Yeah,
because not everyone uses Kubernetes, but
yeah. So Terraform is probably the best place to start, and then understanding Kubernetes instead of focusing on specific cloud providers is probably really worth it.
Yeah, and also I guess talking to the people, right, that you want to be soon. So that's why I kind of also recommended joining the community, because that's where you can see what sort of questions these people deal with and what sort of questions they're passionate about every day. Yeah. So that's another thing. And with that, I would also bring up the biggest platform engineering conference that we are going to host in 3 weeks. Very soon, PlatformCon. Marisa and Marco are speakers there. So you can sign up. It's completely free. You get different topics around platform design, managing a platform, and I think it also could be very, very interesting. So not only to Tosin, who asked this question, but also to everybody else who is interested in learning more about concepts in building internal developer platform and everything around it. Highly recommend this one. Let me just find the link really quickly here. Here we go. Cool. So if there are no other questions, I guess we can wrap it up for today. Thank you so much again to Marisa and Marco for throwing this amazing presentation. Once again, they will be speaking at PlatformCon. So if you want to dig in deeper, you can also register, and it's going to be virtual for a week, and you can just like go to YouTube and consume content as you wish. We're also going to have first time in person event in London. So I think there are still tickets. So if you want to register and you're in London, that's also a cool opportunity to hang out with the community. But once again, we're going to send over recording and slides to everyone who registered, and hope everyone has an amazing evening and a safe rest of the week. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for hosting, Maria. Take care.
Thanks for attending.
Bye.